محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. واللعنة الدائمة الباقية على أعدائهم ومنكر فضائلهم وغاصب حقوقهم من الآن إلى قيام يوم الدين. أما بعد، فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه الكريم: يا أيها الناس كلوا مما في الأرض حلالا طيبا ولا تتبعوا خطوات الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين إنما يأمركم بالسوء والفحشاء وأن تقولوا على الله ما لا تعلمون. صلوات. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accept the azah of the Shia of Ali, especially the mu'mineen who are here. During this month of Muharram and Safar, we are very close to the Arba'in next week, inshallah. I happen to be this Thursday to be here. I'm traveling again tomorrow after Jummah, so otherwise Muharram Safar I actually see you in Rabiul Awwal. But keeping in mind the Ayyam of Azah, I wanted to actually start talking about a very simple matter, but then connect to a deeper dimension of the issue, and that is to do with the issue of the food which is halal and tayyib. Islam is a religion which does not, shy away from talking about details. And I must have said this before, that one of the beauties of Islam is the comprehensive nature of its Sharia. We are born in this, in a Muslim family, in a Muslim environment, and sometimes we take things for granted. We don't appreciate what we have. And sometimes to understand that more, we need to see what those who are outside Islam, what do they say about Islam? And this is one of the things that I've seen is that, some of the converts, if you ask them, they have a very good, very simple but very powerful response to why you chose Islam. And one of the answers that I've seen, they say, well, Islam doesn't leave you alone. Whatever you do, wherever you are, in whatever state you are, Islam has a guidelines for us. Either it is in detail or it is just simple, principles that Islam has given that under, these conditions, this is what you should be doing. And that comprehensive nature becomes an appealing feature for those who live under other philosophies of life. And for us, we sometimes not only don't appreciate that, many Muslims say, kya hai har qadam mein Islam jo hai, ye halal hai, ye haram hai. Oh, we run away from it. But this is one of the distinction of this faith. And so even simple things like what we eat and drink and has not been ignored by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He is our Khaliq, He is our creator. He created this dunya for us. And this is where, He also gives us the guidelines. And this is in Surah Baqarah, ayat number 168 to 69, where He says, Ya ayyuhan nas. The message is not only for the believers and the Muslims, it is a general Islamic, teaching. Kulu mimma fil ardi halalan tayyiba. Eat whatever is there in the earth, provided it is halal and tayyib. Halal, the way we permissible, and tayyib means good. Good from, even your health perspective. وَلَا تَتَّبِعُوا خُطُوَاتِ الشَّيْطَانِ. And do not follow the footsteps of the shaitan. إِنَّهُ لَكُمْ عَدُوٌّ مُبِينٌ. He is your open enemy. What is eating halal and tayyib to do with not following the footsteps of the shaitan? Apparently there is no connection between the two things. But actually there is. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, that if you don't eat halal and tayyib, if you eat what is haram and khabith, what happens is that shaitan gain access to you. And then he will misguide you. And what will he do? إِنَّمَا يَأْمُرُكُمْ بِالسُّوءِ وَالْفَحْشَاءِ. He will encourage you to do things which are evil and indecent. وَأَن تَقُولُ عَلَى اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. And you will end up saying things against Allah that you don't even know. You say, why should this be haram? We get those questions, huh? Allah is saying this is haram. I say, but why should it be haram? And this is where we have to realize that, when a person eats haram food, that person is actually giving access to the shaitan to, misguide himself. And this is where we have to realize, and I wanted to, talk about the impact of what is known as haram food from a very different angle, not a Sharia perspective, but let me start with the Sharia masala. The basic ruling about food and drink is that if you know the hukum and the mawzu, hukum means you know the command of the Sharia about this issue, and you also have the ability to identify its application. If you have the knowledge of the hukum, for example, the hukum is that intoxicating drinks is haram, and you have a liquid in the glass in front of you, and you know that this is one of the intoxicating drinks. So you know the hukum that is haram, and you know that this is one of the applications of that. If you violate that, because you knew the hukum, you knew the mawzu, still you went against the hukum and the mawzu, then you make yourself liable for the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's important to realize Allah doesn't punish you, you punish yourself. You make yourself liable for Allah's azab. Allah doesn't like to give azab to the people. But you are the one who did it. Opposite of that is a situation where you have jahl bi mawzu or jahl bi hukm. For example, you knew the hukum. You knew that intoxicant drinks is haram. But you didn't know that the drink that you are being served is intoxicating drink. Somebody was telling me, and I didn't like the idea, but I'll just give you the example. He says, sometimes if you look at ginger, it looks like. I said, well, I'm not familiar with sharab anyway, so I don't know, whether it looks like sharab or not. So somebody, suppose a person who knows intoxicating drinks is haram, he knows the hukum. But the liquid given to him in the glass, he doesn't know that this is intoxicant. He thought this is ginger ale. And then he drank it. What happens to him? We'll come to the, but let me give you the reverse example. That a person, knows what kind of a meat is this. It's a kosher meat. He was told by somebody else that kosher meat is halal. So he actually had what we call jahl bi hukm. He didn't know it is haram. He knows this is kosher meat, and he ate. So in this both cases, one is that the person didn't know the mawdu, the other one he didn't know the hukum. In these cases of ignorance, if the ignorance is based on what is known as, out of negligence, he had the ability to know. He could go and search. He could go and ask somebody and he didn't do it. Then he is liable for azab. But if his ignorance was not because of negligence, it was innocence, he didn't know, or he was told wrong by somebody else, then he will be forgiven. So this is as far as the basic ruling of the Sharia is concerned. But let me now go to what is known as asar wad'i. When a person does something, especially when we are talking about food and drink, there are two kinds of effects which take place. One is the issue of, azab, And the other is what we call asar wad'i. I'll explain that later on. For example, if a person knew it is haram food and he still used to eat that, but one day, he came to his senses, repented, reformed himself, and his repentance was based on sidq dil, with total sincerity. And he changed himself. He did tawbah and istighfar. What happens to the haram that he has been eating before? One implication was because of eating haram, he was liable for azab. By doing tawbah and istighfar sincerely, now azab is gone. So that impact of eating haram is gone. He's clear of that. But there is something known as asar waz'i that doesn't go away with tawbah and istighfar. For example, we know that, even these modern science explains that if a person is drunkard, excessively drinking, he knows this is haram, one thing, and later on he repents, changes his ways, and his repentance is on basis of sincerity, so the azab will be gone. But because of the years that he had been drinking, the impact on his kidney, liver, and other organs of the body, would that go away because of tawbah and istighfar? No. So he will not be punished for it in the akhirah. But the implication that of doing that on his body would still remain. It has nothing to do with the azab of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what is known as asar waz'i. Now this is just the example of physical, impact of drinking alcohol, for example, excessively. Sometimes, people do things haram, and it's not only the issue of azab at the end. There is also what we call asar waz'i on a spiritual level. When we sometimes wonder what is happening, I have this problem, and I always sit down and sincerely pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. रोज़ाना दुआ करते हैं लेकिन जवाब ही नहीं मिलता. And we start wondering what is happening. There could be different reasons for it. But one is very interesting. A person came to the Prophet and he said, أُحِبُّ أَنْ يُسْتَجَابَ دُعَائِي. I want my dua to be responded positively by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وآله وسلم the Prophet actually gave an answer very interesting where he says طهر مأكلك ولا تدخل بطنك على حرام. Purify your food. Make sure it is spark. It is not najis. And do not put anything in your belly which is haram. Only put things which are halal and tayyib, as the ayat says. So what the Prophet is saying, that if you eat something which is najis, or you eat something which is haram, that can become a barrier between you and your dua, being accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is dua, this is asar waz'i. A person can be forgiven, but this is something which will stay at that time until he changes himself. Or for example, when we talk about the issue of, will the namaz be accepted or not? Many people have this worry. And yes, each one of us should worry about it. Because doing namaz is one thing, but whether Allah is going to accept the namaz is something else. And one of the things that we have to realize is that if our wealth is mixed with haram, if we have not paid the dues, then what happens? Even the clothes that we buy, it is not totally mubah. The place we do the namaz would not be totally mubah. And so the acceptance of namaz depends that our rizq and rozi as well as our food and things like that should be from the source which is halal. And so this is where we see that, a simple thing like halal and haram food, could have an impact on the acceptance of the namaz. Sometimes we have this question, Malana, there was a time when I used to pray and I really used to have this lazzat, pleasure in worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was kind of into spirituality of that. Now I do it. I just do it because it is my duty. I have to do it. I don't enjoy it. And this is where sometimes we have to ask, maybe let us look at the source of my earning. There is a very lengthy hadith from Amir al-Mu'minin Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wasalam, where he narrates the mi'raj of the Prophet. And then he talks about the conversation which took place between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and our Prophet. And one of this sentence there, it's a long hadith, but one sentence, Ya Ahmad, inna al-ibada ashrat ajza. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala addresses our Prophet and he says that, O Ahmad, ibadat consists of 10 parts. Tis'atu minha talabul halal. 9 out of 10 parts of ibadat involves seeking halal sustenance. Talabul halal. Only 1 out of 10 is actually what we call ritual ibadat. And this is where we have to realize that, when we talk about this issue of our spiritual state in namaz, why I don't feel the joy, or I don't have the enthusiasm to do it. I am just pushing myself by force to do it as an obligation because I have to do it. This is where we have to see whether the source of my income is halal or not. فَإِذَا طِيبَتْ مَطْعَمُكَ وَمَشْرَبُكَ فَأَنْتَ فِي حِفْظِي وَكَنْفِي. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet that when your food is tayyib, pure, وَمَشْرَبُكَ, and your drink is pure, then you are under my protection and you are under my shadow. Salawat padne ek baar. Many times, we hear this question, especially from the youths, when we talk about halal and haram, especially about food. Is there a scientific reason for it? This is where we miss out. It is not necessary that something is haram only because of physical and scientific, dimension. Science is still in a shallow, area of the ocean of knowledge. If you look at the hadith that we have about the appearance of Imam al-Zaman Ajjalallahu ta'ala Farajuh Sharif, that when the Imam will appear, where the world would have advanced even more than what is now from the science and technology and knowledge point of view. But whatever advancement that human beings would have achieved by the end of the ghaibat, when the Imam comes and the knowledge that he will share with the world, the knowledge from before it would be like 1 out of the 25 portion of the knowledge. Imam will bring 24 portions of the knowledge out of 25. And so, science is still, from our perspective, in shallow waters at the moment. And so we don't necessarily always have to wait for the science to come and tell us why this is halal or why this is haram. There are many things that we didn't know before scientifically, now we know. And then we say, oh, okay, Rasulullah said this 1400 years ago. We don't have to wait for science for confirmation of what Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said. Maybe, in some of the food items or the drinks, maybe there is no physical harm. Maybe the harm is on a spiritual level. Maybe it was on a psychological level. We don't know. My late father has a book called Pork, where he wrote in a question-answer form, where he, in initial discussion after talking about Quran and the Bible and what it says about it, he brings in the scientific issues about it. But at the end, because when you bring those scientific arguments, they will say, well, this only applies to the pigs the way they were raised in the past. Now they are very hygienic, very clean. So they say all those arguments don't apply anymore. Well, there could be some other reasons for it. At the end of that book, my father then talks about the psychological impact of eating pork. And one of the things is that what we call behayai. Unfortunately, we don't have a proper term in English for it. Indecency. Not to have this sense of, modesty and decency. And then this is where he says that if you look at the animals normally domesticated by human beings for food consumption, there is one thing in pigs which you not see in other animals, and that is that they don't have any respect for, let us say, sister and mother. And when you eat that, it is not necessarily only the physical level, it could even be the psychological impact. And therefore you will see in those areas there is a lot of, bihayai. Because we are told, you are what you eat, isn't it? And so this is where we have to realize that there could be some psychological reasons also for the prohibitions that we have in the Sharia as far as food and drink are concerned. Salawat pढ़ने पर That is why you'll see in the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt this issue of making sure that the food is, as the Quran says, halalan wa tayyib, is very important, because when we talk about halal and tayyib, in many situations we know it is black and white. This is haram, this is halal. No question about it. And I don't think anybody has any arguments when they know it is black and white, it is halal and haram. Most difficult area is what is known as the gray area. Either because of the hukum or because of the mawzu. These two words I used earlier. Either you are not clear about the ruling itself or about the item itself, whether this falls into this category or into the other category. In both cases, when you are in the gray area, what do? We know the Sharia says if you know for sure it's black and white, it's halal and haram, you have to follow that. And that is the answer we will get even now from the fatwa. But remember one thing, that is the standard for the Muslims in general, not the expectation from the Shias of Ali. The Imams of Ahlul Bayt have a expectation from their Shias of a higher level. Not on that level of halal and haram only. They expect us that if we see ourselves in a gray area, we are not sure about it, then they say refrain from it. Because that is the seerah of the Ahlul Bayt. There is a famous dua we recite mostly on Friday after the Jummah prayers, which has been taught to us by Imam Zaman Ajjalallahu Ta'ala Faraj al-Sharif. Beginning with the words, Allahumma rzuqna tawfiq al-ta'a wa bu'd al-ma'siyya wa sidq al-niyya wa irfan al-hurma. And then we come to a point where it says, وَالطَّحِّرْ بُطُونَنَا مِنَ الْحَرَامِ وَالشُّبْهَةِ. Tahir, to make tahir and pak, purify. Purify our bellies from haram, which means keep our bellies away from haram food and drink. وَالشُّبْهَةِ. What is shubha? Shubha means doubtful, the gray area. The word shubha means, when sometimes we get confused or people confuse us. If they clearly say, this is pork, nobody will come and try to misguide Muslims in that way. But if they take a little bit from here and a little from there, then they will, make it confusing, and this is known as shubha. Shubha is known as shubha because it is shabihatun bil haq. Looks like haq, but it is not haq. And in those situations, we have to refrain. And this is where, we have to refrain ourselves, and we have to keep even our children away from situations of shubha. Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam, in Nahl al-Balagha, he is saying where he says, La sharaf a'la min Islam. There is no honor higher than Islam. Wala izza a'azza min at-taqwa. And there is no power and strength more powerful than taqwa, righteousness. Wala ma'aqila ahsanu min al-wara'. And there is no fortress or castle stronger than wara'. What is wara'? Wara' means refraining from doubtful things. To do ihtiyat in those kinds of situations. And this is what our Imams actually want from us. There is actually a narration by Ali again in a hypothetical situation. And I'm sure all of you have studied the ruling about istihala in fiqh. One of the ways by which a najis thing becomes pak is known as istihala. Means there is transformation in it. It was something else, but then it transformed chemically into something else. The nature changed, and when it changes, it becomes halal. It becomes pak. Now keep that in mind. Ali says, in a hypothetical situation, he says, وَلَوْ قَطَرَةً مِنَ الْخَمْرِ. If one drop of alcohol or wine, goes into the well, water well. Now remember, water well is a body of water which is plentiful. If one drop of najasat goes in, does the water become najis? No, because it is more than core. And so that one drop of wine goes in, it doesn't make the water najis. But even then Ali says, if that water is taken out of that well, and an area is basically, watered by it, and then grass grows in it. So remember, this is one drop of wine, went into that well. That water is now been put in the ground. It changes its essence. Because of that, grass is growing. So maybe a part of that water is in that grass, but it has changed nature totally. So it's istihala, that istihala, that istihala. And then Amir al-Mu'mineen says, a herd of sheep passed by. A herd, not one. And one of the sheep comes there and grazes in that area of the grass. And then that one sheep goes back into its herd and it mixes up with other sheep. Ali says, if a single sheep from that herd is slaughtered, I will not eat its meat. Shar'an, is that haram? No. You're going through so many stages of changes and istihala. But this is the expectation that Ali has for himself, and at a lower level he has it for us. That when you see something which is shubha, he says refrain. Again in Nahl al-Balagha saying number 281, Ali talks about somebody who died in his lifetime, in the lifetime of Ali. And basically he was at that time, Ali doesn't mention him in Nahl al-Balagha, but he actually talks about him and he says, كان لي فيما مضى أخ في الله. That in the past there was a brother of mine who was my brother in faith. أخ في الله. it is very easy for us to say we are Shia of Ali. It is something very different when Ali says he is my brother. So this is somebody that Ali praises. Then he talks about his qualities. At the end of the saying number 281, he says, try to acquire all these qualities. And if you cannot acquire all these qualities, at least try to acquire some of them. One of them is relevant to our theme. Ali says, وَكَانَ إِذَا بَدَأُهُ أَمْرًا, when he is faced with a crossroad, a situation where he doesn't know, is this allowed or not? Should he go this way or that way? What does he do? So this is the shubha area. This is the gray area, not black and white. If he knew black and white, he knows what to do. But it was a gray area. نَظَرَ أَيُّهُمَا أَقْرَبُ إِلَى الْهَوَى. He will see one of these options that I have after the two. Which one is more closer to my desires? And then he will go the opposite way. Because he knows that if I go the opposite way, then I'm sure on the right path. I'm not putting myself into shubha and confusion. And so this is what we are expected from, to do as far as the Shias of Ali, even when it comes to the issue of food and drink. Yes, sometimes we just give very simple rulings, that you have the benefit of doubt and things like that. Because, if people ask the question, you just give them the simple mas'ala. But if I know somebody, more on a personal level, and I'll say that although this is a mas'ala, I advise you not to do it. Although it is not a hukm shar'i, but because I'm looking at the person whom I know, and this is the expectation that Imams have from us. Salawat. When we talk about food and the food and drink and the impact of that on the human being, as I said, it's not only a physical issue. It has to do with our spirituality also. The emphasis that we have in Islam about the issue of the mother feeding her own child. There was a time when Western companies introduced powder milk, started having this advertisement, especially in the third world country, encouraging mothers not to give their own milk or rather to buy their product. And they were saying this is more beneficial for the health of your child. Now we know that, that was just propaganda and nothing else. It was not true. Because science now agrees with this Islamic teaching that the milk of the mother is the best of the food that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for the baby. But we are told that if a mother is not able to feed the child, for whatever reason, or maybe the mother passed away at that time, and if you look for a nurse, a woman who can feed your baby, we are told that make sure that she comes from a good family and she has a good character. Now you might say, what has the milk to do with that? This is the whole point. It's not just milk, it's not just a drink. Character of the person can have an influence of the child who is drinking that milk. And therefore, for example, when we talk about the vila of Ali, when we have this love of Ali from childhood, we are told, be thankful to your mother. It is your mother through her milk who actually imbibed the love of Ali in your heart. So it's not only a physical nutrition that the mother is giving to you, even the ideas and the thoughts and the values in a way come. I'm not saying this is the only thing and you don't have to worry about anything else. No. But this is where we come to realize that food and drink is not only an issue that we leave to the physical level and scientific reasoning for it. There is a spiritual dimension to it also. Salawat. One of the famous Arab poetry on this issue, where the poet says, "La adhab Allah ummi innaha sharibat," that, "O Allah, do not punish my mother. Why? إنها شربت حب الوصي وغذتنيه مع اللبن." Because she was the one who imbibed to me the love of the wasi of Rasul and fed that love to me with her milk. وكان لي والد يحوي عبا حسن. And where the second line of the poetry is that, and I had a father who had the love for Abu al-Hasan Ali. فصرت من ذي وذا أحوي أبا الحسن. And it was because of the mother and the father that I come to love Ali. Salawat. There's a question here, so it means they are listening carefully. That's good. If restaurants are halal and people there aren't Muslim, can we eat? Again, I'll give you the basic Sharia ruling, and then what I've been talking tonight. The basic ruling is that if you have itmi'anan, if you have kind of a certainty in what they are saying, if they are Muslim, you don't have to worry about it. You take the words of a Muslim at face value. If they are non-Muslim, then you have to do kind of, verification about it a little bit more. And once you have kind of satisfaction, then the basic ruling is it's okay. But when it comes to a higher level, especially if you're in Toronto, mashallah, you have so many other options where you don't have to worry about it. So I would say in that case, the recommendation would be, only to go those places where we can have kind of yaqeen and absolute certainty about that. Salawat. I use this example of, the milk of the mother, just to show that, it's not only a matter of nutrition. This is where even a hadith of Amir al-Mu'mineen, where he says, خيروا للرضا كما تتخيرون للنكاح. Ajib. He says, when you want to choose a lady who would breastfeed your child, this is when it's not the mother, then look at your choice. It should be same as you are looking for somebody for nikah. Because you would like to know the background, the character of the person, the personality of the individual. فَإِنَّ الرِّضَى يُغَيِّرُ الطِّبَاعَ. Because this process of breastfeeding, the milk, can even change the nature of a child. If you look at the example, and I'm not going by Thursday night program, this Muharram and Safar, so I'm going a little more than half an hour tonight. Salawat. This statement of Ali that the milk of the mother or the woman who is feeding the child can even change the nature of the child, not on a physical level. We're talking about psychological level or the spiritual level. You look at the example, and I've spoken about it a few months ago before Ramadan, I think here on Thursday night programs once. The example of Asma bint Umays. She was married to Abdullah bin Ja'far, Imam Ali's older brother. And when Abdullah bin Ja'far came back from Habasha, she had 3 sons from him, including Abdullah, who married Bibi Zainab later on, Abdullah bin Ja'far. And in the Battle of Muta, the Prophet actually met Ja'far bin Abi Talib. Did I say the same name again and again? Ja'far bin Abi Talib, yeah. Ja'far bin Abi Talib, when he came back, Rasulullah made him the commander of the Muslim forces in the Battle of Muta, in which he became Shaheed. And he died with his hand were cut off. And after his shahadat, the Prophet said that Allah has given him kind of wings to fly around with the malaika, and that's why he became known as Ja'far al-Tayyar. Tayyar was a title given to him after his shahadat. So when he died, now you have this widow, Asma bint Umays, with 3 children. Those days there was no social security or pension and this and that. And so she had to find protection. This is where Abu Bakr proposes to her, and she accepted. This is about 2 years before the wafat of Rasulullah. She married Abu Bakr, stayed with him, and after the wafat of Rasulullah, till the death of Abu Bakr, which is about 1.5 years or almost 2 years, you can realize, the challenge for Asma bint Umays. Where would her loyalties lie at that time after Rasulullah's wafat, when now her husband is the Khalifa? This is the biggest challenge that she had. And she is an example, especially for women who are going through difficult situations in their marriages, that although she was married to Abu Bakr, but her loyalty 100% was with Ali and Fatima. She is wife of the Khalifa, but the closest confidant of Fatima to Zahra is Asma bint Umays. Where she was actually, Bibi would talk about, things that she is thinking with Asma bint Umays. The last person to talk to Fatima is who? It's not Ali, not Hassan or Hussein, not Zainab or Kulthum. It was Asma bint Umays, where Fatima asked her, bring water for my wuzu. And then she says, I'm going into the room, close the door, sit at the door. As long as you hear my tasbih, I am alive. Once you hear my voice no more, that would be a sign that I am no more in this dunya. So she was very close to Fatima to Zahra, even though she was wife of Abu Bakr. And after the death of Abu Bakr, Amir al-Mu'minin married her. And so during her marriage with Abu Bakr, Allah gave her a son, whose name was Muhammad bin Abi Bakr. Muhammad bin Abi Bakr is son of Abu Bakr. But when it comes to his spiritual affiliation, he is one of the strongest early Shias of that generation. He even became a Shaheed. Amir al-Mu'minin actually on his Shahadat wrote a letter to Abdullah ibn Abbas saying that he was like a son to me. He was just like Hassan and Hussein to me. And then and this is where we see, Abu Bakr, Muhammad bin Abi Bakr was biological son of Abu Bakr, but spiritually he was son of Ali. And what was the main factor there? We would not hesitate in saying that it was the milk of Asma bint Umays. Payam Azmi, one of the poets of India of these days, he says very beautifully where he says, अपने औलाद की तकदीर बदल देती है माँ के बारे में, अपने औलाद की तकदीर बदल देती है, बाप के खून की तासीर बदल देती है. Muhammad bin Abu Bakr might have this blood of Abu Bakr, but when it comes to the loyalty and the deen and iman, he is a Shia of Ali bin Abi Talib alayhi salatu wassalam. Salawat padhne ke बाद. तो हम लोग जब अपने बच्चों से बात करते हैं हलाल और हराम के बारे में, सिर्फ वो साइंटिफिक डायमेंशन को नहीं देखना चाहिए. इसमें बहुत ही नफ्सियाती और रूहानी पहलू भी होते हैं जिसके बारे में हमें उतना इल्म नहीं है. और इसी से हम एक्चुअली रिलेट करना चाहेंगे रोज़े करबला को. आशूर के दिन جو آڈینس تھا وہاں، امام حسین علیہ السلام نے تقریباً 3 خطبے دیے ہیں. پہلا خطبہ بالکل، اور آخری خطبہ جو اتمام حجت کا ہے، تاکہ کسی کے پاس عذر نہ رہے قیامت دن کہ ہمیں معلوم نہیں تھا کہ یہ کون ہے، جہاں اپنا انٹروڈکشن کرتے ہیں آخر میں. سیکنڈ خطبہ جو تھا اس میں حسین ابن علی، اب یہی بات ہے کہ مجمع ہے تقریباً 25 یا 30 ہزار کا، سب کلمہ پڑھنے والے ہیں. اسپیکر کون ہے؟ خطیب کون ہے؟ حسین ابن علی، سید شباب اہل الجنہ. یہ وہ شخص ہے کہ جس کے گھر میں خداوند عالم نے فصاحت و بلاغت کی نعمت عطا کی ہے. امام زین العابدین نے بھی جو خطبہ دیا ہے یزید کے دربار میں، اپنے خاندان کا جو انٹروڈکشن کیا ہے کہ ہم وہ لوگ ہیں کہ جن کو خداوند عالم نے 7 فضیلتوں سے نوازا ہے، جس میں ایک یہ ہے کہ فصاحت و بلاغت ہمارے گھر میں آئی. تو ایلوکوینس میں، کلیئرٹی آف دا لینگویج، کانٹینٹ کے لحاظ سے، اسپریچوالٹی کے لحاظ سے، کریڈینشلز کے لحاظ سے کوئی بھی کمی نہیں ہے حسین ابن علی میں. لیکن پھر بھی مجمع مانتا کیوں نہیں؟ بائی دی وے ہم اکثر یہ سوال کرتے ہیں اس موقع پر کہ لوگ کہتے ہیں کہ بھائی ایسے خطیب کو لے آؤ کہ جو لوگوں پر اثر ہو. بات صحیح ہے کہ خطیب کا اثر ہونا چاہیے، لیکن کبھی کبھی یہ بھی دیکھنا چاہیے کہ مجمع میں بھی صلاحیت ہے یا نہیں ہے. پرابلم صرف خطیب کا نہیں ہے، مجمع کا بھی پرابلم ہے. کربلا میں خطیب کا معاملہ نہیں تھا. حسین ابن علی سے بہتر خطیب آپ کو نہیں مل سکتا تھا اس وقت دنیا میں کوئی بھی، لیکن پھر بھی اثر نہیں ہوا. کیوں؟ سیکنڈ خطبے میں اس دن علی ابن حسین فرماتے ہیں وَيْلَكُمْ مَا عَلَيْكُمْ، تمہیں کیا ہو گیا ہے، ان تنصتوا الی فتسمعوا قولی، کہ تم مجھے سنتے ہو لیکن نہیں مانتے ہو. میری آواز تمہارے کانوں تک جاتی ہے لیکن تم ماننے کے لیے تیار نہیں ہو. وَإِنَّمَا أَدْعُوكُمْ إِلَى سَبِيلِ الرَّشَادِ، جبکہ ہم تمہیں صحیح راستے کی طرف بلا رہے ہیں. امام پھر ان کے جواب کے منتظر نہیں ہوتے ہیں، پھر بیان کرتے ہیں کیوں تم ہماری باتوں کو نہیں مان رہے ہو. فرماتے ہیں فَقَدْ مُلِعَتْ بُطُونَكُمْ مِنَ الْحَرَامِ، تمہارے پیٹ جو ہے حرام سے بھرے ہوئے ہیں. حرام یہاں ضروری نہیں کہ کھانا حرام رہا ہو، بلکہ وہ رزق جس سے کھانا خریدا گیا ہے وہ بھی حرام ہو سکتا ہے. اس کا اثر کیا ہوتا ہے؟ حسین ابن علی کہتے ہیں فقد ملعت بطونکم من الحرام فطبع علی قلوبکم، اور اس کی وجہ سے، حرام کھانے کی وجہ سے تمہارے دلوں پر مہر لگ چکی ہے. اب حسین جیسا معصوم امام، سید شباب اہل الجنہ، ان سے جب خطاب کرتا ہے تو ان پر اثر نہیں ہوتا ہے. تو یہ کھانے پینے کی جو باتیں ہیں صرف جسمانی لیول تک نہیں ہے، اس کا اثر انسان کے روح و نفس پر بھی ہوتا ہے. اور اسی لیے آپ دیکھیں کہ یہ قافلہ جب چلا ہے، یعنی جو اہمیت دی جاتی ہے ہمارے یہاں، جو ایکسپیکٹیشن ہے ائمہ کے شیعوں سے کہ آپ صرف بلیک اینڈ وائٹ کو نہ دیکھیں بلکہ گرے ایریا میں بھی احتیاط سے کام لیں. اگر آپ دیکھیں یہ قافلہ جب چلا ہے، مسلم الجساس کی روایت ہے، شیخ عباس قمی نے نفس المحموم میں لکھی ہے یہ روایت، جہاں لکھتے ہیں کہ مسلم الجساس بریک لیئر تھا، تو کام کر رہا تھا اس دن، اور اچانک اس کو جو ہے بہت شور شرابے کی آواز آئی، ہنگامہ کی آواز آئی ایک طرف سے جو شہر کا دروازہ تھا. تو وہ اپنے ساتھی کے سے پوچھتا ہے کہ یہ کیا ہو رہا ہے. تو اس نے کہا کہ ابھی جو ہے وہ ایک خارجی کا سر لایا گیا ہے. تو مسلم جساس نے کہا کہ کون خارجی ہے؟ اس نے کہا وہ جس نے خلیفہ کے خلاف بغاوت کیا ہے، اس کا نام لوگ بتا رہے ہیں حسین بن علی. مسلم جساس نے وہ فوراً سیڑھی سے نیچے اترا، اپنے چہرے پر مارتا ہوا وہاں اس ایریا میں پہنچا ہے جہاں دیکھتا ہے کہ روڈ کے دونوں طرف جو ہے مردوں کا ازدحام ہے، لوگ جمع ہوئے ہیں دیکھنے کے لیے کہ یہ قافلہ لایا جا رہا ہے. اور گھر کے چھتوں کے اوپر یہ عورتیں کھڑی ہوئی تھیں. پہلے وہ سپاہ آئے جن کے ہاتھوں میں نیزے تھے اور ان نیزوں پر سراہائے شہداء تھے. اور اس کے بعد وہ کہتا ہے کہ وہ محملیں آئیں جس پر اہل حرم موجود تھی. عزاداران حسین جب اہل حرم آئی ہیں، ان کی عماریاں آئی ہیں، اس پر پردے کا انتظام نہیں تھا، آپ جانتے ہیں یہ سب. کوفہ کی عورتوں نے جب اس منظر کو دیکھا ہے، عورتوں میں بہرحال زیادہ ان کا دل جو ہے نرم ہوتا ہے اس سلسلے میں. ان عورتوں کو احساس ہوا کہ یہ بچے جو ہیں بھوکے لگ رہے ہیں. کچھ خواتین چونکہ اس کوفے میں خرمے کی فراوانی ہوتی ہیں، پلینٹیفل ہے اس ایریا میں، کچھ عورتیں جاتی ہیں اپنے گھر سے خرمے لے آتی ہیں اور پھینکنا شروع کرتی ہیں. کچھ خرمے کے دانہ جو ہیں آ کے گرے ہیں اس محمل میں جس پہ جناب زینب اور جناب سکینہ، حسین کی 4 سال کی بچی تھی. اس بچی نے خرمے کو اٹھایا ہے اور اپنے دہن میں رکھا ہے. عزاداران حسین جناب زینب جو ہے اس روایت کے مطابق اپنے ہاتھ کو بڑھاتی ہیں، اس خرمے کو سکینہ کے دہن سے نکال دیتی ہیں اور پھر واپس پھینکتی ہے اسی گھر کی طرف سے جہاں سے وہ خرمہ آیا تھا، اور یہ کہتی ہے کہ دیکھو نحن اسار اہل البیت، ہم اسیر اور قیدی ضرور ہیں لیکن ہم عام اسیر و قیدی نہیں ہیں، ہم اہل بیت کے گھرانے کے افراد ہیں. ان الصدقۃ علینا حرام، صدقہ ہم پر حرام ہے. بی بی سے صرف اتنا کہیں گے، بی بی سکینہ 4 سال کی بچی ہے، ابھی شریعت کے احکام اس پر لاگو نہیں ہوئے ہیں. اس اضطراری حالت میں وہ اگر بچی خرمہ کھا لیتی تو شرعاً کوئی قباحت نہیں ہے، لیکن عجب نہیں کہ بی بی جواب دے کہ تم نے حسین کے پیغام کو نہیں دیکھا ہے، ہم اپنے بچوں کے کمسن بچوں کے دہن میں بھی لقمے حرام لانے نہیں دیتے ہیں. عزاداران حسین ایک کنیز تھی وہیں قریب، جس نے یہ جملہ سنا دوڑتے ہوئے آگے جاتی ہے جہاں اس کے مالکن کا گھر تھا اور اپنے مالکہ سے کہتی ہے کہ ہم نے عجیب و غریب لوگوں کو دیکھا ہے آج. وہ کہتی ہیں صدقۃ علینا حرام، صدقہ ہم پر حرام ہے. اس مالکہ کا نام ام حبیبہ تھا، کھڑی ہو جاتی ہے کرسی سے، کہتی ہے کہ میں نے علی کے گھر کی خدمت کی ہے، یہ جملہ صرف فاطمہ کی اولاد کہہ سکتی ہے، تم یہ کیا کہہ رہی ہو. وہ اپنے گھر کے چھت پر آتی ہے. جب کنیز نے اس محمل کی طرف اشارہ کیا، جب بی بی کی سواری قریب آئی، اس وقت ام حبیبہ کہتی ہیں بی بی آپ کہاں کے رہنے والی ہیں؟ کہا کہ ہم مدینہ کے رہنے والے ہیں. تو اس وقت جناب ام حبیبہ پوچھتی ہیں کہ کیا آپ حسین کے گھر والوں کو جانتی ہیں؟ اس وقت زینب نے پوچھا کہ حسین کو تم نے کیوں یاد کیا ہے؟ کہا ہے کہ ہم نے ان کے گھر کی خدمت کی ہے، میری تمنا ہے کہ مدینہ جا کے حسین اور حسین کے بچوں کی زیارت کرے. اس وقت جناب زینب اپنے بالوں کو کھولتی ہے، کہتی ہے ام حبیبہ تمہیں مدینہ جانے کی ضرورت نہیں ہے، دیکھو یہ زینب ہے، حسین کی زیارت کرنا ہے تو اس نوکے نیزہ پر دیکھو، وہ میرے بھائی کا سر ہے، وہی تمہیں اکبر کا بھی سر نظر آئے گا. الا لعنت اللہ علی القوم الظالمین سیعلم الذین ظلموا ای منقلب ینقلبون. خداوند اس قلیل بعد قبول فرما، ہمارے گناہوں کو بخش دے، ہمارے توفیقات میں اضافہ فرما. خداوندہ جہاں بھی شیعان علی ہیں ان کو اپنے حفظ امان میں رکھ، تکفیری افواج جہاں بھی ہیں ان کو نیست و نابود فرما. خداوندہ امام کے ظہور میں تاجل فرما. ربنا تقبل منا انک انت السمیع العلیم.